Today is going to be an incredibly useful day if you are someone who struggles with anxiety and you're trying to heal after trauma and abuse. We're going to be led through a tapping technique. It's emotional freedom technique of tapping that has actually been research backed to be shown to relieve stress and symptoms of PTSD. It also improves performance, reduces food cravings, help treats phobia, traumas, and other mental health related issues. And I'm super excited to be doing this with you today to lead you through, teach you actually how to use the emotional freedom technique called EFT tapping. EFT tapping. So let's talk a little bit about what is EFT tapping. Why does it work, and where did it come from? And then I'm going to work through the steps that we're going to do together. I'm going to kind of walk you through how to do it, and then we'll actually do it together. So thank you so much for joining me today. I'm Dr. Kerry Kerr McAvoy, a licensed psychologist with over 20 years of counseling experience. And I'm also a narcissistic abuse survivor. So like you, I struggle with PTSD and I also have a history of anxiety. I've battled panic attacks in the past. And I would have said in college, I probably had a generalized anxiety disorder at the time. These days, anxiety, although you see me rubbing my hands, these days, anxiety doesn't tend to be terribly limiting, but it is a feature that I do struggle with. So I'm super excited to introduce EFT tapping with you today and to kind of talk about what is it and how to use it. So what is it? Well, roughly it was around in the 1990s, there was a pioneer by the name of Kerry Kerr, along with the work of a psychologist, a clinical psychologist, Roger Callahan, who developed this technique that uses the spots or the sources of acupuncture without having to do something with needles, that something we can actually utilize ourselves at any point in time that we want to. And they found that when they did this tapping along a set of acupoints, that's what they call them, acupoints, that they're able to stimulate the natural opioids in our body, stimulate serotonin, also stimulate GABA, which is a neurotransmitter that has a calming effect. And they found that there's certain pressure points that tend to be more impactful. I think there's roughly 7 different ones, and that these spots have a high density of nerve endings that control heat and cold, and they also have a high concentration of white blood cells in these locations. So it's pretty incredible that this has been discovered, and so we're going to work through this together and learn how to use EFT tapping to help you with your PTSD symptoms, help you with your anxiety. Maybe it might help you with any other types of anxious issues that you might have, as well as mental health issues that you're going to have. I want to first teach you how to do it, and then we're going to do it together. And it's a round of 3. So I'm going to teach you the mechanism or the method to use, and then we'll do it 3 times. It's a cycle of 3 times. And then when we're done, I want to check in with you. Let's see what you thought. Let's see if you're feeling any better. We're going to actually have you rate how you're doing right now, and then we'll check in and rate again at the end to see if you're feeling better. And then once we kind of check in with each other and do that, I want to lead you, and I'm super excited about this. I want to lead you in a guided meditation that I call Releasing Pain and Embracing Joy. So that will be sort of the wrap up for today. And then we can talk at the end if there's time, take your questions, kind of talk about how this experience was for you. And then also talk about, if you like this and you want more of this, how can you have more of this? How can you have more of this led with me? So I'm super excited. So let's get into it. So what I want we're going to do this together. I want you to get into a comfortable position if you can, find a safe spot where you can relax and kind of, if you need to, shut your eyes. If you can, that you're going to be tapping, so someplace that you feel safe tapping yourself, that you're not going to feel self-conscious. So right now, I want you to sort of get into a location or into a place where you can do this and you can feel safe doing this. And yes, this is being taped right now, and this will be posted elsewhere. So if you'd like to refer back to this, this video is going to be able to be, you can find this video and I can talk to you more about how to do that. But again, for those who are new to me, I know I always have new people pop by. I'm Dr. Kerry Kerr McAvoy. I'm a licensed psychologist. And today we're going to learn how to do emotional freedom technique tapping to help you with anxiety, PTSD, heal after trauma, all sorts of things. So, all right, I'm assuming that you guys have now moved into a place where you're feeling safe. And by the way, share this, like this right now to help drive up the audience here. That would be really, really helpful for me. Tap the screen for those of you who don't know how, or hit the heart button for me. I appreciate that. And be sure to follow me. I'd love to see more of you around on my content and be able to interact with you in different ways. Okay, so we're going to launch into EFT tapping. What I want you to do right now is identify an issue that's bothering you. So right now, what's been on your mind, kind of weighing heavy on you that's bothering you? I want you to think of something. And think of a phrase, put it in a statement like, I'm worried about a challenge coming up, or maybe I don't know how to pay the bills, or I'm worried about some limit I need to set, or I'm afraid of whatever, or maybe I have a test to take tomorrow, or something. I want you to identify it, and you can put it in terms of worried, or I'm anxious, or I'm scared. Those are fine. There's no worries with you putting it in a very vulnerable way. So you've identified the issue. Okay. I'm going to say, I'm worried about a new program I'm rolling out. So yeah, I love that, Elena. I'm guilty. I feel bad. I would say I feel bad, or I feel upset or distressed when I set boundaries. Exactly. So you've identified your issue. Now, I want you now to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, meaning 1, it doesn't bother you hardly at all, and 10 means it is just consuming you. It's on your mind constantly. So give whatever the worry you have a number on a scale of 1 to 10. Okay. So now what we're going to do is I want you to set your intentions. And I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to use mine. I'm worried about a new program that I'm rolling out. So I'm going to say my intentions are to say this. I'm anxious about this new program that I'm rolling out, and I feel concerned about it, but I know that I'll be okay whatever happens, and that I'm deeply loved and accepted by myself. That's what I want you now to take your issue, and I want you to phrase it in a similar way. I'm scared about, or I feel bad about, or I'm worried about, whatever it is. And then you can even say a little bit more if you want to about it, why you're scared about it, or upset about it, or feeling bad about it. And then I want you to end it with saying, but I deeply love and accept myself. Okay? So that's the intention. And we're going to repeat this as we tap. We're going to repeat a long version of it when we tap our hand. And then we're going to repeat a short version of it. And a short version might be, I feel worried about this, or I feel scared about this. So I know it's like opposite of gratitude. We get really used to gratitude, like we have to phrase things in a positive way. It's okay to phrase this in a negative way. You don't need to phrase this in a positive way. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to tap several locations. I'm going to first identify where those locations are. We're going to circle through them. There's actually 10 locations. We're going to tap the side of our hand, the karate side of our hand. You can do it with 2 fingers, do it multiple fingers, or whatever. Now, we're not doing this yet. I'm just going to show you. Then we're going to tap the inside, right, your eyebrow, the inside of your eyebrow. Then we're going to tap the side of between the eyebrow, the eye, and the temple. We're going to tap this area. Then we're going to tap below your eye. And then we're going to tap below your nose. And this little divot right here, we're going to tap on your chin. Then we're going to tap this area right where this dips here with your collarbone. And then we're going to tap right about the bra line for women, but about 3 inches below your armpit for men. And then we're going to tap the crown of our head. And then we're going to go back to tapping the side of our hand. Okay, so that's a cycle we're going to make together. And we're going to tap each spot while we say these affirmations about 7 to 10 times. We're going to tap these areas while we make this affirmation. So And we're going to do this 3 times through, and I'll stop each time and then we'll do it together. Okay. So are you ready for your intention? You identify what you're worried about, and you're going to end it with saying, but I completely accept and love myself. And then, and I've had you rate on a scale of how upset or distressed or worried you are. So we're going to start this together. Okay. So we're going to tap. We're going to say it while we're tapping this 7 to 10 times. I'm worried about, fill in the blank, but I completely accept and love myself. Now we're going to do the shorter version while we tap the inside of the eyebrow. I feel worried about the new, whatever it is. I just feel worried about it, or I feel scared about it. Now I want you to tap the side of your eye. I feel worried about whatever the issue is. Now underneath your eye, I feel worried about this issue. Now we're going to tap underneath our nose. I feel worried about this issue. On the chin, I feel worried about this issue. Now we're going to do the collarbone. I feel worried about this issue. Now we're going to do under the armpit. I feel worried about this issue. And then I want you to top the top of your head. I feel worried about this issue. And now we're going to do a long version of the affirmation again on the side of a hand. I feel worried about this issue, but I completely love and accept myself. Okay, that's one round. Now, at the end of the round, you stop and check in with yourself. On a scale of 1 to 10, what is the feeling you have now? Has it changed? Maybe you feel a different feeling. Maybe the intensity of the feeling has changed. So I want you to sort of weigh in. I want you to weigh in again with yourself and sort of think through what it is how you're feeling about whatever the issue is. So right now, let's just check in with each other. Has how you felt about whatever it is you identified, has it shifted or changed? Maybe something new came up. Maybe the degree that you were feeling it has changed. So kind of just like check in. Okay. All right. So now that you've checked in, okay, someone said, I now feel some sadness. Oh, that's very interesting. So if that feeling has changed, I want you to adjust what you're saying to yourself for this second round. We're going to do the round again, and I want you to adjust. So maybe you're going to say, the person who said, I feel sad, maybe you're going to say, I'm feeling sad about, and then identify the issue. And then again, end it the way we ended it before. All right. So I want you, if the feeling has changed, then use the new feeling. Otherwise, I want you to use whatever feeling you had, but kind of notice if that intensity that you're experiencing, whatever the issue is different or not. And for those who are just joining us, I'm Dr. Kerry Kerr McAvoy. We're going through a tapping process together. This is called EFT tapping, and it helps with anxiety and trauma. And I'm so glad that you're here. So what we're going to be doing now is we're going to do the second round of tapping, and we're going to make again those affirmations. Okay, are we ready? So we're going to begin to do this with, yes, I know this is really, for some of us, it feels really weird. And for some of it, others of us, it may be super cool. But I'm super curious to see what you think, because there's a lot of research behind this that says that this works. Okay. I know I'm feeling calmer, and this first round just made me feel a little less distressed. So let's do this together. Are we ready? All right, we're going to start again. And remember, do the long affirmation at the beginning and the end. Long affirmation. I feel worried about rolling out a new program. I completely love and accept myself. Now you insert your own issue, okay? Then we're going to do the I. I feel anxious about this new program I'm rolling out, or whatever your problem is. All right? I feel worried about, and you fill in the blank with your problem. All right, under the I feel stressed about or anxious about, and you fill in your problem. Now we're going to do under the nose. I feel worried about or concerned about or anxious about, and you fill in your problem. Now we're going to do it under the chin. I feel worried about or concerned about whatever your problem is. We're going to do the collarbone. I feel worried about, concerned about, or whatever your problem is. And then we're going to do under the armpit. I feel worried about or concerned about whatever your issue is. And then we do the long one again. I feel worried, anxious, or concerned about this issue. It's making me very worried. I completely love and deeply accept myself. Okay, that's round 2. Let's check in again with ourselves. Again, think of a scale, a rating of 1 to 10. Remember where you started. Many of you said it was a 9 or 10 when you started. Is it a 9 or 10 now that you've done the second time through? And has the feeling about whatever it is that you're concerned about, has it changed? Is it kind of a different kind of a feeling that you have now? So I want you to kind of check in with yourself. Yeah, so some of you are saying it's still a 9, others of you saying it's a 6 or 7, all right? That's good. And some of you saying I'm starting to feel lighter. We're going to do this one more round together. And again, if you're feeling about whatever the issue is changed, I want you to use the new words to describe the feeling you have as you move through it for the third time. And this will be our last time to go through this. Oh, interesting. So someone said, Brittany says she started at a 7, now she's at a 5. Okay, so we're going to then do the same round, the same circle of 9 different points. We're going to do this again. Are you guys ready? We're going to start at the back of our hand with the long affirmation. I feel nervous about whatever it is that you're concerned about. I completely and deeply love and accept myself. Okay, we're going to do the corner of the eye. I'm feeling fear or scared or anxious about, and then do it the corner of the eye, between the eye and the temple. I feel concerned or upset or concerned about issue, whatever issue is. We're going to do it below the eye. I feel fear or concern or anxiousness about. Now, underneath the no, I feel anxious about, and then you fill in the blank with your issue. Then do it under your chin at the divot. I feel anxious or concerned or scared about whatever the issue is. And we're going to do it at the collarbone. I feel fear or concern or have issues with, and whatever the issue is about. And then under the armpit, I feel anxious about, then fill in the blank. And then we'll do the long affirmation with your hand. I feel concerned or anxious about. I completely and deeply love and accept myself. All right, we just did the third round. All right, so let's talk about it. What did you think? Now, I'm going to tell you, truthfully, I've only done tapping once before in my whole entire life, and it was when I had a therapist that I was working with, and we were doing EMDR. We had a very stressful session, and she had me kind of do one of these things at the end of it, and that's how we kind of wrapped it up. And so that was only my one-time experience. I didn't really feel anything from it, but I'll tell you, I would say I started today at maybe at a 6 or 7, and I'm feeling about like a 3 or 4 now. So I can feel that it's helped me move my feelings so that I'm feeling a little more, centered. I guess that's how I describe I feel. I feel more centered at where I'm at. So I'd love to know, what was your experience? If you did all 3 rounds with me, for those of you who stayed here, what did you think? So Phoenix, you said it showed me the root of something. Oh, that's interesting. So it uncovered something for you. Yeah. Somebody said that they've been following Robert Smith. Gina, so Robert Smith does this. Is this what he's been using? And how was it for you to do that? Oh, it's interesting, Brittany, that you found that using both hands was better for you than one-handed. I actually researched that. That was my question. Does it matter if it was one hand or two-handed? And it says that it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter if you use both hands or one hand, that the research found that the effect was the same. The effect was the same. Yeah. So Wild Giant Moms, you found that it actually calmed you down and you felt more relaxed doing it. Yeah. So he does a faster EFT. Yeah, this is I'm trying to teach everyone how to do it. So yeah, this is something you could actually do within 3 minutes or less. I mean, it's something you could do. You can, now granted, you probably wouldn't want to do it in the middle of a coffee shop or maybe in the middle of a meeting, but you could certainly go off to the bathroom, get into a stall and work yourself through it. This is something you certainly could do. Most places you could find the privacy to do this. So that would be helpful. So Elena, you're finding yourself feeling a little calmer afterwards. Yeah, that's very interesting. Yeah, and Phoenix, you said you're a little more grounded too. And so Gina, you do this every day. Has it been instrumental in your life? Well, the people who do this for research says this is the order that you do it. But they also said that it doesn't mean you can't add other locations. Like there are other locations in your body that are impactful. I know, for example, years and years ago, I learned that the corner of this area of your hand is really good for some types of headaches. And that if you want to like rub it, maybe tap it or, stimulate it, that it really might help reduce pressure in your head. So I know that there are pressure points that have different effects and for different locations. So certainly when I was looking into this research that it was said, it doesn't hurt you to add other points, pressure points, that you may find them really helpful. Yeah. I'm a hand wringer. So when I get really distressed, I tend to rub and hand. I know that for me, that's maybe the way I stimulate, stim a little bit. So that's really helpful. Yeah. So Alina, if you found that the worry feeling that you were having feels less threatening. That's really interesting. Oh, and the under the eye, Gina, is for anger. Wow, that's interesting. So that this one right here is helps with anger. That's very, very fascinating. I appreciate you sharing that. Yeah. So let's take a poll. How many of you guys had heard of tapping and have been using it in your life? Let's just quickly check in with everybody. I'd love to know if this is something that you have found really, really helpful. I had not. It's new to me. But I do think that it's something that I'm gonna incorporate because I am feeling better. I'm finding myself actually surprisingly, I mean, I was skeptical. Let me tell you, I was a little skeptical. I find myself feeling better. Yeah. So, farm girl, you've tried it and you find that it's been helpful. Brittany, that's a good question. Would it help somebody who's having an autistic meltdown? I'm autistic and I certainly have my meltdown. So I'm going to try it. I think that I'm going to see if it does help. So breaking free, you said it does help. You found or break free, you found it has been really helpful. Yeah, it's new to me too, Elena. And yeah, so Gina, you're saying that that's what I read too, that there's these meridians that run through our body that have energy that flow through them and gets blocked or trapped. And then it ends up affecting us or harming us. Yeah. So Jack Fishlake said, I used it when my life blew up after divorce and I found that it's been helpful. That's awesome. That's really, really awesome. I really appreciate hearing that. Yeah. So I think it's a very useful tool, very versatile tool. And it's like I said, it's been researched. It's got research backing. I think it's fascinating, and I think it's something I really would love to see us. I'm definitely going to use it more often. Yeah. Look, yeah. Gary Craig is the one who founded this, and then there's a psychologist, Roger Callahan, who has EFT International. I will add these links in my reference list. I have a mental health reference list that's on my bio in the sheet of my bio at the bottom. So I'm going to add that. So if you want to do more research into it, more reading into it, you can do that and find out more what they say, maybe more directions. Yeah, there is an app. I know that. Yeah, there is an app. That's awesome. Yeah, Kayla, I'm definitely the online support group starts next week. And in that group, we're going to be doing more breath work, more guided meditations. That's going to be a regular feature at the higher level called the Toxic Free Academy. So thank you for that. I really appreciate your segue into this. That my memberships roll out next week. There's 2 levels. There is Bronco. That's a good idea. Making a video on this. There's 2 levels. They're inner circles. The lower level is more support. I'll have office hours of like once a month there. You get weekly exercises and tips emailed to you. You have access to like the reference lists and other types of things like that. And at the higher level is going to be ongoing classes. We're going to have weekly office hours with me. There's going to be also regularly guided breath work and meditations. And there's all sorts of resources and stuff that will be at the higher level. And right now I'm offering it for a discount price. So I'm super excited about it. Super excited. So yes, please go ahead and join now. And it launches this weekend. Actually, it launches in a couple days. So it's already set up and ready to go. I'm super excited about it. So It's costs right now. I'm offering it for $75 at the inner circle level, and it's $100 for the academia level. But think of it this way: you're getting all of this benefits for less than the cost of one coaching call a month, less than one. And trust me, it's lots of time and hours, and access to me is built in. I'm going to make sure this is really value packed for all of you, and I'm super excited about it. So if you want more information, there's a link in my bio to where you can sign up, and you'll get more information about it. Yeah, we'll be talking about inside the office hours. Will be that's per month, and the inside the office hours, we'll be talking about what your issues are. It is an open call for all of you to come in and talk to me with video, where we can actually chat about your problem collectively. And it'll be helping you'll be able to talk about whatever your concerns are, whatever you're facing. I'll also do a lot of training and mini classes helping you break down what the inside of a personality disorder is, how to be able to handle them in a different way, how to help you process your losses, your issues, your anger, your grief. And I also, one of the moderators is in there is a person with a lot of expertise in high conflict legal battles. So if you want support around that, then also Jessica Knight is in there. She's a podcaster. She has what's called Relationship Recovery Podcast. She's a moderator in there, and she's offering a lot of her resources too. So it's packed with support, packed with resources. And if you guys know the webinars I've been offering with experts, like I had Sandra Brown in, Kristen Milstead. I'm right now working on getting Shelley Pumphrey, who wrote the book Insight is 2020. Those will be only offered to club members. They're not going to be offered to the public. At the lower level, you'll get a discount opportunity to be able to go for a small fee. And at the higher level, you have free access to do that. So those will be included at the upper level as just part of the benefit. And I'm hoping to do that 3 to 4 times a year. And one of the other people I want to bring in that I'm super excited about is Gregory Lester. Greg Lester, who is an expert on personality disorders. He was part of the DSM-5 committee who sort of assessed what is involved in a cluster B. I really want him to come in and talk about personality disorders and what treatment looks like, why they are the way they are, because he works with them. Not only is he a researcher, but he also is a clinician who offers treatments for personality disorders. So that's one of his big specialties. So I'm super excited about that. I plan to reach out to him and see if I can bring him in as a webinar speaker, as a guest speaker for this group. So if that sounds interesting to you, please check out the link in my bio. Like I said, I plan to, a lot of the energy I've been throwing into the support here, I'm going to be pushing that energy into this group and just filling it really out, just really, really out with lots and lots of benefits. Now, I want you guys to hear me. I know there's only a few of you here. I lost these. It's interesting. These lives never do well. I never have a huge audiences. So I know the people here are people who are really invested in my platform. If you find the money is a problem, please DM me, okay? I do not want it to stand in the way of you being a part of this membership. That's how strongly I feel about it. I believe it's probably one of the best things you can do to heal is to find this support, find this information, and have access to all of this. I really believe in that. So don't let the cost stand in your way. If it's too high and you can't afford it, contact me and we'll make arrangements, okay? So I just want you to please hear me that if you say, yes, I really want that, and then you hear what I just said, and you're like, oh, I can't afford that, then that means you need to reach out and DM me and let's talk about it, because I'm not going to let cost stand in the way of you being a part of this group. Not at all. Okay. All right. So I promised, and I know this is, people really love this. I've done this meditation several times for group therapy, and they really, really like it. And so I want to do this, and then we can talk for a few more minutes before we wrap it up. I call this one Releasing Pain and Embracing Joy. And it is a closed eye meditation where we're going to do some guided imagery work together. And so I'm super excited about it. So I need you all to sort of get comfortable. I want you to kind of lean back into your chair and get comfortable, and put your hands into your laps or let them sit on your desk or whatever makes you feel comfortable. I want you to just sort of drop your shoulders and just feel like you can sort of focus on my voice. So I'm going to take a moment, let you guys get comfortable so you can focus on my voice. All right. We're just going to do one more meditation together, and then we'll do some talking and talk about whatever's been on your mind. All right. So, all right. I want you to take a deep exhale together with me. And I want you to inhale and hold it and exhale. And let your eyes close comfortably. And I want you to again inhale, hold it, and exhale. Just feel all the stress and tension releasing. And you let your eyes drift shut and feel your shoulders drop. And right now you're going to focus on my breath as you slowly inhale and hold it and exhale. And keep that pace of breaths, that nice slow pace of breaths up. As you inhale, hold it, and exhale. You may hear other sounds right now, but you're letting that go. You're right now focusing on my voice, focusing on this moment. You're giving yourself this space and this time to center on yourself. And you're inhaling, hold it, and exhaling. And inhaling, hold it, and exhaling. Imagine the pain in your life, the pain of your past, the pain from others. I want you to imagine the pain. It's a ball. It's a ball sitting in your lap. Look at the ball of pain. Notice what it looks like. Does it have color? What kind of exterior surface does it have? Is it animated or moving? What is its weight on your lap? I want you just to observe this pain. I want you to imagine that it's all balled up and it's sitting in your lap right now. Notice the texture of it and how it feels. Now imagine the ball is disappearing. Maybe it's lifting off your lap up into the air and floating away. Maybe it's rolling to the ground and rolling away. Maybe it's evaporating or popping. But right now your pain is dissipating. It's disappearing in front of your eyes. I want you to watch this process as it disappears. What does your lap feel like now that the pain ball has evaporated, disappeared, or dissipated? I want you to feel what it feels like to have watched it leave. Now imagine a new ball is coming towards you. You can see it. It's in the distance and it's coming towards you. It's full of hope and joy and love and light and truth and beauty. It's coming right now. It's coming right towards you, and it's coming into your hands. You see it in your hands. What does this ball look like? What color is it? What's the texture of the surface? What's the weight of it? What does it feel like? I want you to take that ball, and I want you to imagine yourself pressing it into your chest. Maybe you want to literally move your hands and then pull them to your chest as you pull that ball of light, joy, peace, hope, encouragement to your chest. I want you to bring that ball and let it soak into your body, soak into your heart, soak into yourself. Feel it move through your arms and your body. I want you to feel the way that it, like liquid, moves out to your limbs, out to the bottom of your fingers, out to the bottom of your feet, into the edges of your toes, as it fills you all the way to the crown of your top of your head. Feel this light and hope and joy and truth and beauty fill you. I want you to take another inhale again. Hold it and exhale. And another inhale. Hold it and exhale. This light, this ball of hope, this ball of joy, it's yours. It's yours. And this is a place that you can come back to whenever you need to remind yourself that this ball of hope, light, joy, and encouragement, support, peace lives and resides inside of you. Take another inhale in, hold it, and exhale. And you're coming to, I want you to wiggle your toes and your fingers, maybe you blink your eyes, and we're going to come back together. And let's talk about that. What was that experience like for you today? Yeah, so what was that like? I'd love to know how you felt about that. I have to say, I think that's one of my favorite ones. I really love that exercise, that guided imagery. This is something that you can do on your own. And on top of it, I have it taped, and for club members that join, it's available. You can replay it as often as you want. So yeah, so Kimberly, you said it was amazing. Well, Giant Mom, you found it transforming. So tell me, I would love to know, what did the pain ball look like? Can you describe what that looked like to you? Okay, so Reverend Rayanne said that the joy looked almost like a rubber ducky. I've never heard that. I love that. That's sweet. Yeah. Phoenix, you said you feel surprisingly lighter and uplifted. So Jackie said her ball of pain was drenched with red spots. That's interesting. That's really interesting. The first ball had brought out a lot of emotions. Yeah, some of it you may find right now that you're feeling kind of teary, feeling a little emotional at the moment. That's normal. That's very normal after this exercise to feel that way. So Melissa's was a black bowling ball. Oh, that sounds creepy. I bet was it heavy? It sounded like it was really heavy then. Oh, yeah, yeah. So Phoenix said it was like audio waves of tears and rough and jagged. Interesting. Very interesting. So Wild Giant Mouse was like fire spinning fast and out of control. Gabby said it felt like lava. That's interesting. Very, very interesting. Oh, Brittany, I'm glad to hear that it was very soothing for you today. And that your ball was a blue ball. That's interesting. A blue ball. So, what did the ball of joy, hope, light, peace, whatever you needed to be, what did that look like? And so Kala said yours was spiky. Interesting. And Jeff, yours was like a giant cement ball. Ooh, wow, that's powerful. That's very powerful. So Kim said the first was dark and heavy, and the second was a calming red ball. So X-Ray Deb said yours was white with crackers, and the new ball was smooth and golden, green and cool. Yeah, Melissa, so yours too was sort of like a hot pink rubber bouncy ball. That's interesting. I love that. Mine tends to look like light. Mine's sort of like a glowing, like sun. Almost looks like a sun coming towards me is what it looks like for me. So the first one was bumpy. Yeah. And the new ball was white like light. Yes. And Kala says hers was like a beach ball that was turning into rainbows. Oh, I love that's a beautiful color too. So yeah, how are you feeling now that you did this? Somebody you said it feels transforming. What do you think feels different? I think for me, it helps me detach. Oh, so Taffy says it's a pain ball. I think for me that it helps me detach from what's hurting me inside, what I'm feeling weighted down by. I think that's, or the injustice or, the lack of fairness sometimes that life brings with it. I think that it really helps me release that, and it helps me to sort of accept the good things, whatever you want to God has for me, or the universe has for me, or life has for me. For me, it's sort of a reminder that I'm loved and that I'm cared for, that I'm important. It's really helpful for me to remind. So I'd love to know, that's what it does for me. But what did it do for you? Yeah, so the second ball was clouds dissipating. Oh, that's really beautiful, Jeff. I love that. That's Yeah, it's incredible. So Wild Giant Mom said it really helped you release the stress. Yeah, I dropped my shoulders. I felt that my shoulders came down and helped me feel better there too. I agree. It really did that as well for me. So this has been, I have taped this. This is now available. It's available to club members at academy level. So if that's something that you found interesting, that's another benefit. I will continue to make more tapes of this, do this in live streaming, but also make it's like a library of these types of guided breath works and guided meditations. I find them super helpful. I probably do this on a regular basis when I'm feeling kind of anxious or worked up. I'll sort of slow down my breathing. I have one of the meditations I want to create for the group is I want to do one where finding your safe space in creating an imaginary scenery or landscape, and creating a safe space that you can go to whenever you're feeling upset. And I have mine. I have a place where I go. It's like under the apple trees in the middle of a field, and it's a gentle summer day, and there's a breeze and the sun is warm. So that's one of the places that I imagine that I go to whenever I need to just chill and bring down my blood pressure and to feel better and to remind myself that I'm okay. No matter what's happening in my life, that I'm okay. So that's one of the things that I do. So that's one of the ones I'm going to be creating soon for the group in the club membership. So I'd love to have you guys join me there. Yeah, so beach is the one that for me too. I do use the beach as well. So, no, you're welcome, guys, and you're welcome, Jeff. I'm glad you guys joined me here today. That's really, really wonderful. Yeah, Gabby, so you have one, you forget to go there. Oh yeah, now that I'm acting like a little prompt for you to do that. All right, so we can shift gears. We've got about 20 minutes before I need to sign off today. What is it that you are dealing with that you want to talk to me about? I know that's kind of hard to move from light, calming to now talk about hard things, but my academy actually starts this weekend. It's starting next week is the launch. This is my last guided meditation for the group. I am now launching all of this. It goes into the online membership. So if this is something you've been enjoying, it starts this weekend. It starts this weekend. This weekend. Yeah. I'm starting it, it's already up and running. It's already there, and it's already been filled out. And now I'm setting the schedule for next week. So everything begins next week. We'll have, like I said, the office hours is next Thursday. It'll be live video, group video. You actually can come in and keep your video off so that nobody can see you, and use an alias. Nobody needs to know who you are. It's inside a Discord server, which is private. You have by invitation only. That protects your security, your safety. It also acts as a gateway, so I know who's there and why they're there. And then you're able to create whatever name you want on Discord. So you don't need to use your avatar, does not need to be you, it does not need to be your name. You can completely, as long as I know who you are, so I know that the membership that you paid for is you. That's how we protect your privacy. And then there will be, like I said, weekly office hours. You immediately will start to get the weekly advice and tips and exercises sent to your email inbox, and that you also get. The webinars are already available. The past webinars, I'm going to be scheduling the next webinar in a few months. There will be just constantly be able to use whatever resources that you need. I'm going to have little mini classes. Like one of the group members who's been part of the older membership brought up an issue about their ex was acting out and doing some really scary stuff, and they wanted to know how serious to take it. So I did a little mini class on triggers for narcissistic and toxic people and how to view it, what kind of stance to take, how to handle it. So I kind of gave quick advice. So that's what I'm going to be doing in there in the middle of that. So I'm super excited. If you're interested, there's a link in my bio. If you say, yes, I want to learn more, then you'll get more information and you'll be able to sign up. And like I said, right now it's on special. All right, you guys are already starting in with questions. So let's talk about what you're talking about. So what if you decide to leave when a narcissist comes back? What if you decide to leave? Would a narcissist come back and try to discard you instead? That's an interesting question, Brittany. Sometimes narcissistic people will get a jump on abandonment. If they sense that you're about ready to leave, they'll abandon you first as a way to sort of prevent you abandoning them, because in their mind, that's worse. That's experienced as a narcissistic wound. It's a form of rejection. It's a form of feeling like they're not good enough. And so they will then get rid of you before you can get rid of them if they sense it. Here's how I view that, though. I know it's hurtful when people reject us. Nobody likes rejection. But I would urge, if that's happening in your life in some way, I would urge you to view it this way, that you don't want them in your life. And this actually is a mechanism of safety for you. When we abandon the narcissistic or toxic people first, when we discard them because of how toxic things are and how uncomfortable things are, they can become dangerous because the wounding for them is so intense that it puts you at risk. But if they do it to you, which is, by the way, is what I did, I set up a situation that I knew would lead to mine leaving and discarding me, because I knew that was a safer alternative than me leaving him. So see it that way, shift it in your mind's eye from, oh, this person doesn't want me, they don't love me. No, they never did love you. They've only loved the version of you they thought that you were, which isn't really you. And instead saying, oh, this is getting me out, so I'm actually safer because they've left me, because they're doing it. And then now I'm at less risk of them acting out. I hope that makes sense. So I'm trying to read the question here with MV, MVOMB said, I'm settled when he's calmer and no longer being mean. What's all that about? So in other words, are you saying that the person in your life who's toxic gets really upset, and then once he settles down, is like the storm passed and it's as if that never happened? That's common. If that's what you're describing, that's common. That's what you're seeing is the defense mechanism called compartmentalization in action. So what happens with people who are more primitive in their ego structure is they use really early styles of defense mechanisms that most of us don't use, because it's kind of magical, almost like magical thinking. So what happens with compartmentalization is that people who find stressful, uncomfortable, or shaming or intolerable feelings, they literally like put them in boxes. That's the best way to imagine. So the whatever happened between you and this person was in one box. And then once it's over, it's literally like they closed the box, sealed it, and threw it into the back farthest attic spot possible. It's like it literally disappeared from their mind, and they move into the next box of reality, which may be calmness or acting like everything's okay, or it's like as if it never happened. It's how it can feel. It feels like literally like it just dissipated, like it disappeared. That's compartmentalization. And it not only happens with issues and situations, it can happen with time. So that's why, have you ever experienced where you have this issue that's between the two of you and it's really not good, and then all of a sudden they say, let's talk about it later, and then you come back to it later and say, hey, let's talk about it. Like, what do you mean? That's over. Why are you bringing it up? I don't know why. Because for them, they boxed that moment up and then put it away, and then a surprise why you bring it up. To them, it ceased to exist. Them saying, can't we talk about it another time, is actually code for saying, I don't ever plan to talk about it again. That's what they're actually telling you. So it feels very discombobulating. I actually got to talk to Lee Hammock about it in person. And he said, yeah, he was like, he had this startled look on his face. He goes, wow, you just explained something that happens to me all the time, and I never knew why. Now I know why. So yeah, it doesn't work that way for us. As the older you get and you use more sophisticated defense mechanisms, it doesn't quite, you're a little more integrated, time's more integrated, yourself is more integrated, so you can't segment yourself like that. So that's why it feels so strange. So Phoenix says, I'm struggling with secure attachments with friendships, coming out of being so isolated. It is hard to make a shift. I agree. I'm very introverted by nature, and COVID, then I lived alone. I lived alone and I worked alone and I saw no one, literally saw no one, talked to no one sometimes for days. It's been adjustment trying to enter the world again. I don't even like to go out. I struggle even doing shopping, but I'm trying. I'm having to sort of like do that. Yeah, it is work. I agree. It just takes practice, I think, pushing ourselves again, just like everything else. Any new thing that you have to do, any new skills, like a muscle you got to work on. So Melissa wants to know, do narcissists ever change? This is a tough question. Most people don't change a whole lot. And I've made my whole career. I mean, if you think about it, what does a psychologist do? Well, people come into me saying, I want to be different. So I help them with change. Change is minimal. Most of us can't make radical changes. We are kind of who we are. We can modify how we see things, maybe change our behavior, but a radical shift, I just never really, I've seen very few of them, very, very few of them. There's a few problems narcissists and personality disorders have that make it even tougher. And this is what it is. One of them is they really struggle with self-reflection because of shame, the root of shame, which is hard for all of us. It's debilitating for all of us. None of us like to feel shameful. So looking at ourselves honestly is very uncomfortable for anybody. But for a narcissist who's unconsciously avoiding shame at all costs, now you're asking them to be reflective about things that they're doing that's harmful or hurtful to other people. Well, that's shame. That's, causes shame. And so they're very avoidant to that. But you can't change unless you can honestly look and say, wow, I don't want to be like that, or that's destructive, or that I'm not comfortable with being this person. You have to really look at those places. So since self-reflection is kind of limited. And then the other thing that they struggle with is they struggle with empathy. So one of the reasons why a lot of us feel any motivation to change is that we realize that we're hurting ourselves and that we're hurting other people. And that bothers us. We don't like to see the way we impact other people. But if you lack the ability to actually have a sense of being harmful to others, well, then you kind of lost a big motivation on what helps motivate change. So that's a long-winded answer to say it's not very likely, because the very things that help promote change is not there, which leads to a form of blindness. So that's why they say, well, they don't have a problem. They're kind of blind to their own problem. So it's very, very hard. So I have worked with narcissists on long-term basis as clients. I've had several that saw me for years. And I did see some softening, some changing, some increased self-reflection. But I'll tell you, that was the rare ones, not common. It wasn't common. So yeah, I don't say therapy is definitely helpful, especially with the right therapist who knows how to do the confrontational style to help them take a look at their behavior and teach them how to learn cognitive empathy. But I don't hold out lots of hope that these are going to be super sensitive, super caring, never cross, never critical. They're going to always want to kind of lean into power and control as a way to manage emotions. So I don't have lots of hope for that. I hope that question or the answer helped. I know it's not a comfortable question. Boy, the location of this, my microphones is driving me nuts today. Okay, so I am super behind, guys. I just jumped over 23 messages. I know sometimes you guys talk to each other, but yeah, somebody said talking about self-love. What is self-love? So let's talk about that. Let's talk about the difference between self-love and selfishness. Self-love is really you just showing care for your body and yourself, your personhood. So would we say when you take care of your loved ones or your children or your partner, is that selfish of them to receive the care? So when you cook dinner for them, or you remember to pick up prescriptions for them, or you do an errand for them, or you clean the house for them, are you babying them? Are you coddling them? Is that Is that wrong? No, you would say that's just what people do for each other. That's how I show love to them. That's how I let them know they're important to me, right? So self-love is just you doing the same for yourself. One of the things I definitely grew up in a home that discouraged that would have called this selfishness, but think of it this way. If you feed everybody around you and you never stop to have a meal yourself, how long will you survive? How much energy will you have to continue to do that care for anyone else if you're never doing any of it if you're never feeding yourself and you're always feeding everybody else? How is that sustainable? Absolutely not. You will die. You'll become famished and you die, and you will cease to be available for anyone else. So self-love is a form of replenishment so that you have what you need to give to those around you. It keeps you in good shape, good health, good mental health, good emotional health. It's how you kind of take care of yourself, and then it's from that place of plenty that you then serve other people. That's how I see it. Now, what is selfishness? So selfishness really, and this is what anybody who's been close to a narcissist has seen selfishness. It's the belief that the only person in the world that exists is you, and that's only persons whose needs are important. And there's a preoccupation with self to the exclusion of everyone else. So what I described before, self-care is so that it fills you up so you have all this plenty to give from for other people, so you can show up for other people. And so that what you give them is not out of resentment and exhaustion and fumes. What you give them is out of your overflow. But selfishness holds on. It sort of is almost viewed as if there's not enough, and it tries to pull in everything that it can or protectively, jealously from other people, and it ignores the needs of other people. In fact, other people are seen as threats to your needs. That's the difference between the two. It's what you do with the care, is whether or not it's selfish or selfless. Self-care is so that you can pour out more from a good place, and selfish is so that you can protectively hoard what you have for only for you, and you ignore everyone else. That's the difference. So does that help? What do you guys think of that definition and that difference? I'll tell you, I never fully understand how dark, evil, actually, selfishness is until I lived around a narcissist who failed to see anyone but himself. And I'm not saying him because it's men. I'm just saying that's who my partner was. It was a man. So that was for me very eye-opening. It was like, whoa, when everything that was done was to serve himself, and it was not for anyone else. Can love and abuse coexist? Ooh, man, universal love. You just love to hit me with the big ones. And then helicopter, I see your question about, is it possible to have a narcissist be a good parent? Is that possible? No, I don't think abuse and love can coexist. I don't. Love protects, and it places the needs of others alongside of is equally important to your own. It doesn't keep a record of wrongs. It doesn't use fear to intimidate and control. It trusts, it serves. Abuse is selfishness. Abuse is entitlement. It's withholding and preoccupied. It's egocentric. So to me, I think they're diametrically opposed. I just don't see them as being able to even be in the same space. I don't. Which kind of brings me into the second question of can a narcissist be a good parent? I think they may want to be. I think they may be. I've known narcissistic parents who have meant well and love to show up, but the ability to do that because of the deficits, the personality deficits, is not there. They're going to miss the mark. So they may say, I love my children, I want to show up for my children, but the ability to actually know what that looks like, to place their child's need above their own, to be able to do things from an altruistic versus egocentric perspective I don't see how it's possible. I don't see it happening. I've not known parents who are ill, who've not gotten help, who've not been confronted, be able to really show up in the way that their children needs them to, because they can't see their children realistically. They can't see their emotional needs. Instead, everything the child does is seen as a affront or an attack or a loss or a threat to the narcissistic parent, sadly. Sadly. Yeah. Yeah. So why did my husband just let his finances go down as soon as he moved in with a new supply? That's an interesting question. It may have been a value you had, and he was reflecting that value by living with you. And it may be the new supplies value is more kind of pleasure oriented, more live in the moment, like life will take care of itself. It may be like a change in philosophy from partners. That's one possible reason. It probably, yeah, it probably was. It was a way of showing up for you. And it really, the more than it was a reflection of him. It's my best guess why that changed. So universal love. So I asked because my older brother is abusive, said he loves, even though he's harming me. And I respond by telling him that love and abuse can't coexist. No, I know. Yeah, I agree with you. They can't coexist. And he's doing that. He's saying that, yes, he wants you to believe that. But I also think that he's saying that because he's trying to reassure himself that because he sometimes feels warmth for you, that's really what he's saying. I feel warmth for you. I don't even know what words. It's just warmth. I guess warmth. They somehow, to him, that's love. But love is actually a behavior. It's not really a feeling. We love people by what we do. We show love. It's a commitment. It's showing up. It's doing the hard work for things. So he can feel warmth, but if it doesn't lead to good behavior, then it's not real love. This is a great question. Why do narcissists prefer porn over the real wife? And man, I've seen that. I mean, I've seen that everywhere, that personality disorders really struggle with various forms of addictions, and pornography often is a common addiction, or serial cheating is another form of an addiction for them. Why do they prefer it? Because this is why. Because they're hiding and they don't want their real self being seen, but they want the experience of intimacy without the vulnerability of intimacy. There you go. They want the experience of intimacy without the vulnerability of intimacy. Real intimacy, real fantastic sex, real love requires you to show up, see the other person, be seen by the other person, expose yourself in a vulnerable way, let yourself go in that experience and experience joy and pleasure and being known. It's incredible. But when you are riddled with shame and you feel that you're not good enough, and that if people really knew who you were, they would reject you, and so you can't be seen, you're going to avoid it in any way you can. You're going to want the experience of sex without the risk of it. So what do? What's the best way to do it? Well, you find diversions to it. You then do serial cheating when there's no real investment with the person. You're just moving through people. And maybe even if you have some antisocial personality traits and you get off on sadisticness and degrading people, maybe part of it is that you get off on making people think that you have a relationship with them, knowing they're falling for you and knowing that you're not, and that you get to use their body and exploit them, and then you move on. That maybe give you thrills. I know some that do that too. So that's why pornography offers the lure of a sexual experience without any risks of vulnerability and real intimacy. Why are most narcissists undiagnosed? Yeah, because they don't seek mental health. That's why the numbers, by the way, are so low. That's why we say there's only like 1 to 5% of them of the population is that. Well, because they don't come in for treatment. The stats are built on who we see. It's not built on, we don't go out like a census and say, okay, of everybody in the world, how many people actually have narcissistic traits or have MPD? We don't do that. So the real number is not known. We don't really. So anybody says, well, oh, it's rare. Why are you talking about this so often? Well, it's only those who seek treatment is rare. And of those who seek treatment, a small proportion have MPD. But that doesn't mean there isn't more of those with MPD in the general public. They just never get diagnosed. So we don't know. I'm going to take 2 more questions today, and then we'll wrap it up. And I'll be back on Tuesday at 4. So I'm moving to 4 o'clock on Tuesdays, not 1 o'clock. And then otherwise on Thursdays, it's going to be for my online membership group only. And that will be Thursdays at 1. Do I do therapy? No, these days I did therapy for over 20 years. These days I do education. I'm offering, like I said, support to group members. I do all sorts of this stuff online for people, but I don't really do counseling anymore. It's really hard to, for lots of reasons. One, you have to then be in insurance, and then it has to do all the regulation around insurances. That gets really tricky. I can't just see anybody for therapy across the country. I can't do that. I'm not licensed to do that. So it just gets super, super tricky. And then on top of it, I really appreciate the education piece more than I do the one-on-one counseling. So this is the best way I utilize my skill, is doing this versus just therapy. I did it for a long time and I burnt out of it, actually. So Jackie asks, how do I survive co-parenting with a borderline narcissistic other co-parent and the new supply who's an old affair partner, and she's love bombing my kids? How old are your kids, Jackie? I'd love to know how old they are. That will help me kind of fashion my answer for you. No, yeah, exactly. Monique, you're right. Narcissists always assume they're perfect because it's the way they're built. This is a personality hardwiring. So they don't see that as anything wrong with them. It's not a condition. It's not like they're suffering from a cold or suffering from narcissism. It's actually a part of their hardwiring. So that's why they say the problem is you, not they're just being themselves. Your kids are 7 and 9. So okay, that helps. I know you see what's happening, and I know you know that they're going to be hit with a big letdown, and you're nervous about that. Then I would maybe teach them about how to trust is earned, and that how sometimes people do nice things because they want us to think well of them, but it doesn't mean they're actually nice people. I might use it with their friendships, use those that around them who are doing it in their playground or doing it at school, and kind of talking about becoming wise about why people do what they do, and it's not always for the motives we think. Maybe that's one way of doing that. But I would not, please be careful, hear me on this, Jackie. Don't attack your ex, your parent. Don't insult this partner, because your children will get defensive. Children protect the most vulnerable parent. And they will be harder on the parent who's more stable and more present. So you're going to get the crappy end of things if they feel like that's threatening and they're supposed to pick sides, then you're going to be the one that they're going to move away from. So just be super careful around all of that. So I love that. I love that you're already doing that. That's super great. That's great. And it's miserable. I know watching all this stuff is so painful. It really is. One more question. I'm going to go backwards, guys, on this. How do I get out of the hole of a 12-year relationship with a narcissistic mother abuse? That's a process, Lady Limitless. It's a process. It takes a lot of you work on yourself in understanding where your vulnerabilities are and what unmet needs you have that act as hooks. I think it takes probably working with a therapist, but also it takes with a supportive group that's helpful to help you kind of see where your vulnerabilities are and coming here. And I mean, I think it sounds like you're doing the right things, but it's a process. I wish we arrived, but we don't. We're always arriving. Healing for me is always arriving. How do you tell your 20? Okay, the last question. So D, I'm going to take your question as the last question. How do you tell your 28 and 27-year-old that their dad is a narcissist? I wouldn't tell them that. They would see it as you have ulterior motives by telling them that. But wait until they complain, because they're going to complain about their dad doing something harmful or hurtful to them that hurts their feelings. And you can say, yeah, it hurts mine. And I know I feel bad when I see that. And that's not what I want for you. And then process it. How are you going to deal with that? What's your, this is how I deal with it when it happens to me. I would use it sort of as a prompt to talk to them about how to set different boundaries, how to manage their emotions around the way that their dad fails them. That's how I would handle it. But I would not come out and say that. Now, if they came to you and said, I wonder if dad's a narcissist, you might say, yeah, I've wondered that too. But it doesn't change the fact that we need to find better ways of handling him so that he doesn't hurt and affect us. So guys, this was really wonderful. So much. How can you heal from betrayal trauma? It is a process. It's a process. And just learning more about all of this is helpful, and letting yourself grieve what happened and feel the feelings. It's sort of like, in a way, a death. Betrayal trauma is like I experienced it. It is shocking, brutally shocking. It's horrific. But so you will move through the same stages just as much as if something horrifically awful happened to you, because it did. The you that you were before that betrayal doesn't exist anymore. That person was murdered by that betrayal. So it's a process. So be kind. Be kind and give yourself space as you heal. You guys, this is awesome. I'll be back on Tuesday at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time, and we'll be taking just questions. I often have a topic I'll come in prepared for. Right now, I don't know what it is, but I will come in and we'll talk about something. And I can't wait to see you back here on Tuesday, and have a good weekend. I hope you have a really wonderful weekend, and you guys take care. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.